Many people have heard of Adobe because of their best-in-class photo editing app, Photoshop. It's so popular that it has become a verb, just like Google. But Adobe isn't just a company that sells digital tools anymore. Over the last 35 years, they have grown from a company with a few visual design applications to a huge, diverse enterprise software provider. So how did they become so successful? Their first product in 1983 was the printing language PostScript, was their way of experimenting with desktop printing software. PostScript was a program that allowed users to print from personal computers to external printers. Adobe was literally at the forefront of mass digital image production. They got hugely positive feedback on PostScript, especially from other major players in tech at the time, like Steve Jobs. When Jobs heard about PostScript, he approached Warnock and Geschke with an offer to partner their software with Apple's hardware. Within just a year of PostScript's release, the product brought in $83,000 for Adobe. In 1987, Adobe released Illustrator, which was especially remarkable for its pen feature that allowed users to draw curved lines. The company sold it for $495, which was thousands of dollars cheaper than the graphic drawing software that was already available. In 1988, Adobe was breaking even on Illustrator at about 19 million in revenue, and to bolster the product, Adobe released Photoshop, a photo editing tool, as an add-on to Illustrator. The leadership team at Adobe believed that the market for graphics software was huge. Co-founder John Warnock was also convinced that Adobe should not be a one-product business because he understood how quickly the industry moved and how easily they could be overtaken. So Adobe started thinking about how to expand their product line. They wanted to create typefaces, graphics creation, image editing, page layout, and video editing features. This led to their next product release, a video editing software application called Premiere. This software was also prompted by a very early indicator that video could take off Apple's release of a QuickTime Player. It became successful in the market because it was one of the first desktop video editing application of its kind. With all of the different types of graphic documents that users could create and edit with Adobe products, Warnock realized the need for a way to communicate between different computers and different systems. So in 1993, Adobe released Acrobat, a suite of applications for creating and viewing files in a new way. Adobe coined the term portable document format (PDF). As popularity for the application products grew, Adobe engineers and designers worked closely together to keep updating Photoshop and adding new features which compounded the product's success. In the 90s, the internet was growing quickly, which gave people the opportunity to create and share images in increasing orders of magnitude. So Adobe acquired a competitor called Macromedia and absorbed products like Dreamviewer, a Photoshop competitor, and Flash, which the web was built on top of. In 1994, the company doubled in size from 1,000 to 2,000 employees and became the fifth largest software company in the world. Although Photoshop was very successful as web application, Adobe thought the internet was a phase. They weren't focused on building out their products as web apps. This was a huge inflection point and a bad prediction for the company. But only in 1997 Adobe was making $970 million in annual revenue. In 1999, Adobe released Acrobat 4.0, an important set of updates and feature additions that skyrocketed sales for corporate users. The revenue from this product line alone more than doubled from the previous year, $58 million to $129 million. In 2005, Adobe acquired a competitor, Macromedia, and all of their flagship products. The notable ones were an easier-to-use Photoshop competitor called Dreamviewer and a platform for animations and video players called Flash. This gave Adobe even bigger market share in consumer markets because of the users that these products already attracted. As all of Adobe's products became more mainstream and easy to use, they gained popularity in non-professional, Consumer markets. Consumers even started pirating the software. Though this didn't generate revenue for Adobe, it familiarized curious customers with their products. For over 2 decades, Adobe was able to stay competitive as a license-based company. They had built a strong brand identity as a provider of powerful professional and consumer design tools that people were willing to pay a high price for upfront. But when you have been around for a few decades, you see a lot of changes in the industry, and the software industry was changing yet again. Instead of selling software through licenses and on CDs, many companies were starting to sell software over the cloud on a subscription plan. In 2007, global revenue from software as a service enterprise apps was around $5.1 billion and was predicted to grow over 100% over the course of the next few years. To survive, Adobe would have to unlock the subscription model, which was predictable and could be sustained or increased over time to ensure financial security. But transitioning from a licensed software to cloud software as a service was a difficult, expensive, multi-year process. In 2008, Adobe released a web-top version of Photoshop called Photoshop Express. This was designed as a consumer product to be really easy to learn and use, allowing users to make edit photos, create albums, and share them with others. In 2011, they announced that it would leave Flash behind after it was rejected by Apple and mobile. Instead, they made plans to focus more on HTML5, which the rest of the tech industry was doing. 2013 was the biggest turning point in Adobe's history. Adobe released Creative Cloud (CC) to take the place of the Creative Suite. They announced that all future versions of their Creative Suite apps would only be available for purchase through a subscription-based service and only available on the cloud. Their service went from a one-time purchase of $1,800 to $50 a month for the entire CC. The company's financials have definitely reflected their success. Software as a service businesses have higher valuation than licensing companies, and Adobe has seen their share price and valuation increase over the last several years. Adobe needs to keep up the momentum of broadening their customer base and supporting company-wide business. Adobe can continue growing by acquiring other excellent design and optimization analytics tools and incorporating them into their existing suite of products. Not many tech companies can say that they have been around for as long as Adobe or that they are still successfully innovating and growing. Adobe's journey is unique and has been largely shaped by how they have navigated multiple shifts in the industry. But software as a service companies getting started today can still learn a lot from Adobe's journey. Adobe has built best-in-class products for designers, but as they have grown, they have made really smart choices about the new markets they are targeting. The key decision has been to go after markets that are naturally adjacent to the designer market, like marketing and more recently analytics. By moving to an adjacent space, you have the potential to capture new users while also providing new value to existing users. This also helps the company grow without straying too far from their core vision. The second main success factor was that you should be intentional with capital and think about financials in the long term. They have used capital from product growth and their IPO to make key acquisitions which added more streams of revenue. They have funded research and development to build out new products and widen customer acquisition. This process of using revenue to add more products that generate even more revenue created a virtuous cycle. Their very first product, PostScript, was a huge success, and there was no need for Adobe to add more revenue streams at that time. But the leadership knew that remaining a one-product company wasn't a smart financial decision in the long term. The third main takeaway is that to make acquisitions based on product gaps, talent gaps, and competitive landscape. Smart, thoughtful acquisition happens when a company is in tune with what it's missing and what its market industry is demanding. Adobe's story is a journey of transformation. They have seen different eras in software and are doing what they can to be successful in this new one. So far, they're doing a great job. It's possible to continue growing and thriving like they have by making hard, long-term decisions and being really intentional how they can expand and bring new value to customers. If you like the video, give it a like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so YouTube notifies you when I upload a new video. Thanks.